Good morning, everyone. My name's Barry Northern. I'm with the Kentucky Derby Museum, and welcome to Churchill Downs. It's the home of the Kentucky Derby and has been every year since 1875. So we're on the backside of Churchill Downs. It's basically a thriving community back here. We got close to 1,400 horses back here, about 700 people living back here, and then others coming from off-site to work back here in the morning. So we're just going to walk through and see the behind the scenes of Churchill Downs racetrack and see all the preparation that goes into getting to these horses to the first Saturday in May. So the horses have been on the track since 5:30 this morning. There's a little break now called a renovation break where they'll rework the racetrack, water it, harrow it, and then the horses will start coming back out in a few minutes. And at that time we'll be railside and get a chance to see all these. But I love bringing people back here. We do tours back here throughout the year, and it just opens up people's eyes as to what goes on behind the scenes. It's always amazing to me just how many people that come to the racetrack don't realize this is back here. They think horses are at these beautiful farms and come here and race and go back to those farms, but typically that's not the case. They're going to be stabled here throughout the year most of the time. We have horses stabled back here from the middle of March till the end of the year. January and February would be the only 2 months of the year when there aren't horses and humans living on this backside of Churchill Downs. So it's my favorite place to hang out. These people probably start their work day at around 4:30 in the morning. And they do it in all kinds of weather, folks. So I've been hanging around the racetrack most of my life, but I wasn't able to access the backside. You have to have some credentials for that. And now that I work for the museum and spend a lot of time back here, it's really changed a couple things for me. It's taught me to appreciate these beautiful animals probably more than I ever did before. But more than that, I think it's taught me to appreciate these people and what I watch them do every day. And not always the most pleasant conditions, but they do this every day, regardless of weather. So I always tell people with these animals, it's very similar to children. Every day you're going to exercise them, feed them, bathe them, do laundry, clean up after them, and that's done every day. So this is when you talk horse racing, a lot of times you can talk about the millions of dollars and all that kind of thing, but none of that goes on without these people back here. This is the backbone of it all. So I have a lot of respect for these folks and what they do back here. So that's a barn, Mike Tomlinson, trainer. That is Mike's barn. So there's insignias on all these barns, Tomlinson Thoroughbred. So you have some trainers that train a couple of horses, some trainers train a couple of hundred. It's all sorts of different sizes of operations back here. But there's also people who live above the barns back here. We have dormitories. There's a church, there's a restaurant. It's its own little thriving community back here. Over on my right, you see the R on that barn. That is Dale Romans, one of the probably longest tenured trainers back here at Churchill Downs. Dale's second generation. His father, Jerry, was a trainer before him. And Dale, as you see, he fills up 2 barns back here, so he's got one of the larger operations. And right here, folks, there's what we call a gap where the horses can come and go onto the racetrack. There's actually 4 gaps back here where they can enter and exit the racetrack. And here in a few minutes, once the tractors get through out there on the racetrack, these horses are going to start making their way out onto the racetrack. And there's going to be a little time frame where we're just going to have Derby and Oaks horses on the racetrack. They'll all have bright saddle towels with their names on them. Most mornings when I'm back here, I see horses out on the racetrack, and I can't tell you who they are. I can tell you who trains them by their saddle towel. But with the Derby horses, we'll be able to know which ones we're looking at. Now, a lot of people don't want to pick out a Derby horse until they've actually seen him on the racetrack. I don't have a great eye for that. That doesn't help me too much, but it is fun to watch these horses every morning. But folks, you see them, they give baths every morning back here, and sometimes I've been back here in some mighty cold conditions, but it never stops these people from what they do on a daily basis. But here you see living accommodations up above. Here's one of the all-time great Churchill Downs jockeys up here ahead of us. He's retired now, but Robbie Alvarado. And Robbie still exercises some horses for trainer Kenny McPeak. Robbie is usually riding Torpedo Anna, last year's Horse of the Year, Kentucky Oaks winner. Robbie usually rides her in the mornings out here. So folks, back here, I always tell people, you hear the term salt of the earth. That's what most of these people back here are. I just love hanging around back here. I've met a lot of great people. Just a fun place for me to hang out. I remember when I first started working at the museum, the first time that I was back here in the morning on my own, it was still dark. To see the steam rising off those horses and everything, boy, I feel privileged to be back here in this area. We've been running this race for 151 years now, folks, and this is the mecca to me of horse racing. I'm a horse racing fan, and I just can't imagine being anywhere else at this time of the year. Trainer Greg Foley over here. Morning, Greg. And Greg's got a couple of barns filling up back here. But once again, there's people who live up above the barns. And folks, you'll see right up there the big board at Churchill Downs, the back of the big board. No matter where you're sitting on Derby Day, the majority of us are going to be watching the race up on the big board. I think it was 2013, I believe, is when that was first installed. Okay. But folks, we're going to make our way up to the track because horses are going to be coming out here in just a minute. There we go. So as the announcement was just made, folks, the tractors are off and the water trucks are off, so the track is now open, and it's a small window where it's just going to be the Derby and the Oaks horses. Who we got going on right there? I can't get a look at that one. Built, okay. Built is kind of, we're still not sure whether Built's going to be in the race or not. He is, I believe, 20th on the point list. And so those are the Derby horses coming out now, folks. It's an exciting time of year. As we get up here, you're going to see people love to figure out a way to get out here and watch these beautiful animals every morning. Yeah, here comes some of the, here, this is our favorite for the Kentucky Oaks coming right here on the right, folks. I believe that is Good Cheer, maybe, am I right? Yes. And there's Tapan Street. These are trained by Brad Cox. Tapan Street, I believe, just coming off a win in the Florida Derby. It is that Good Cheer that Katie's on up there. Yep, that's Good Cheer, folks, undefeated filly. She will be the favorite for this year's Kentucky Oaks. Ridden by one of Katie Tolbert, one of Brad's top hands there, riding Good Cheer. And I believe there's a couple more. Who we got? Final Gambit coming behind us. And, you know, at this stage, folks, I don't think these Derby horses will be doing too much today other than probably just stretching their legs a little bit. A lot of them might have their final timed workout coming up this weekend. And there we got a gray filly coming behind us. Who we got there? Ballerina d'Oro, Chad Brown barn. Okay. She's a gorgeous filly there, isn't she? Folks standing here looking across and seeing those twin spires. I don't know about you, it certainly gives me goosebumps, knowing we're just a few days away from Derby 151. I will be attending Derby number 46 for me this year, folks, and it never gets old. Never gets old. So let's go try to make our way up here and get along the rail and get a better look at these horses while they're out on the racetrack. Oh, here come a couple South End legends coming my way. Uh-oh, there's trouble coming this way. Morning, fellas.
What's happening, Barry?
What's up? Morning.
You doing it?
Yes, we are. We're doing it. We're doing it.
You've been here since 1875.
Now, folks, they just finished watering the racetrack. A lot of that water gets pumped right here from an underground spring. Churchill Downs kind of sits on what we call an aquifer, an underground spring. So So all the water that's put on the track every day is being pumped right there from an underground spring. But I think, do we want to grab a spot right here or we want to farther down?
Let's go by the press.
Okay, we're going to head down into the press center, folks, and get onto the rail down there.
Barry, while we're walking, do you have a derby pick for us?
Well, you know, my derby right now, you know, they have what they call a future bet. You can bet on the derby. And I made a couple bets back in December, one on Sandman and one on the journalism. Well, journalism's probably going to be the favorite. I'm guessing 4 or 5 to 1, but I have him at 52 to 1. Betting him in the future. And I have Sandman at 70 to 1. But those bets were made in December. At this juncture, Sovereignty would probably be my pick. But folks, my last Derby winner was 2011, so you might not want to put too much stock into my pick here. So we're going to make our way across the track here. No horses coming either way. So Sovereignty would be my pick now from the barn of Bill Mott. This will be his. A lot of horses seem to run their best after they've given a little time off. Their third race back is when they might have a better chance hitting a peak performance. It's going to be his third race off the layoff, and it just seems to me he's coming into the race the right way. So that was going to be my pick at this juncture. All right, folks, here we are, rail side. If you get a look at our track, it's mostly sand. It's sand, silt, and clay, and it's pretty much been the same surface for 151 years now. Now here comes Sandman right here to our left. Beautiful gray, pretty face on him. He's been getting a lot of buzz back here in the morning, so there's Sandman. An American Promise. That the horse just went by, trained by the coach, D. Wayne Lucas. Mr. Lucas will be 90 years old in a couple months, and he's got one more shot at the Derby with American Promise, who is the son of our Triple Crown winner from a couple years ago, Justify. There goes Rodriguez from the Bob Baffert barn, coming off a win in the Wood Memorial. And here comes the pretty, there's, I think, Ballerino Diora. Yep, Ballerino Diora. I don't know if you were able to see when she comes by, folks, how these horses switch leads. When they come around a turn, they're supposed to be leading with their left. That kind of helps them corner better, and they can kind of run into the turn, and they don't have to check their momentum. And then usually in front of us, you might see a little skip, and that's them switching back to leading with their right. So that's all part of a horse's training process. Some are athletic enough, they'll do it on their own. Others have to be cued by the rider. And you see a lot of things going on out in the infield, folks. Temporary seating being put up for this year's Derby. There's Sandman again. Yeah, that's Final Gambit. Another pretty gray. And Tapan Street. Both of those are trained by Brad Cox, another local fella, graduate of Iroquois High School here in the South End. So Brad grew up within the shadow of these twin spires, and now he's got horses running the Kentucky Derby. So folks, we have roughly, you know, they can house as many as 1,400 horses out here. So right now the track is open just for the Derby horses there. Render Judgment going by there. And there's Good Cheer. There's our favorite for the Kentucky Oaks. But here in a few minutes, these horses will be through with their preparations, and the track will open for everybody, and it'll fill up in a hurry. Ballerino Diora. And when you're watching the horses out here in the morning, folks, you're never sure what their agenda is. Some of these horses might have a race in a day or two. Some horses, it might be weeks before they race. Others can be months. So you have horses of different ages, different levels of ability, different stages of development. So all kind of have different agendas when they're out here in the morning. I believe this is the second one coming here is Burnham Square, I believe. Yeah, there's Built Yeah, there's Burnham Square, trained by Ian Wilkes. Burnham Square is a gelding. We haven't, I think our last gelding to win the Kentucky Derby was, let's see, mind that bird? Yeah, 2009 was our last gelding to win the Kentucky Derby. And folks, here at Churchill Downs, they're practicing there on our main track here, which I mentioned is mostly sand, but inside we have a grass surface. So some horses do prefer to run on grass. We do have races that are run on the grass, but the Derby's always run on this track right here, rain or shine. I believe 14 races are scheduled on Derby Day. Typically 3 of those might be grass races. The other ones are going to be run right here. And there's final gambit again. It doesn't take those horses long to get around here, does it, folks? Japan Street. Journalism. There's our Derby favorite, folks. Just arrived here yesterday from California, making his first appearance on the Churchill Downs main track. I would imagine I think he flew from California to Indy yesterday, Indianapolis, and then vanned here from Indianapolis. So this is his first time on the track. All right. And folks, occasionally when these horses are out here, they'll have another horse with them. We call those ponies. Ponies are just kind of companion animals, maybe a little support system. These thoroughbreds can sometimes be a little high-strung, a little nervous, but they are herd animals, so they like company with them. So having another animal alongside kind of helps calm them a little bit. If you're ever watching races on television, when horses come onto the track for a race, there's always a pony waiting for each one. They kind of escort them to the starting gate in an effort to help calm them down a little bit. Okay, here Burnham Square making another round. He certainly seems to be coming into the race the right way as well. And there's Tiz-tastic from the barn of Steve Asmussen. Take our Indy. I think I see Steve out on the track right now. Good morning, Bass.
Morning.
And there's American Promise, folks, from the barn of D. Wayne Lucas. Mr. Lucas trying to win Derby number 5 for him. But this is Steve Asmussen and his assistant Scott Blasey coming along here. Steve's won more thoroughbred races than any trainer in North America. Yet to win a Derby, looking for his first one. And he has one of his 2 horses in the Derby this year, folks, is named Publisher, and Publisher is a maiden. That means he's never won a race before. That's kind of unusual, but he got his way into the Derby by running, finishing in the money in a couple of the big races. That's how he earned his points. And he and Steve could both break their maiden on Derby Day. Him winning his first Derby, Steve winning his first Derby, and the horse winning his first race. Now there's Sovereignty. That's who I told you I love. Boy, he's a pretty animal. But every one of them's pretty to me, folks. All right, who we got here? There's Journalism, once again, our Derby favorite. He's coming off a big win in the Santa Anita Derby. So, folks, they've announced now the track is now open for everybody, so it's going to start filling up. Morning, Faustino. So once again, these horses, I won't be able to tell you who these horses are. I can just tell you who trains them. These 4 going by here with the K on the saddle tail, trained by Eddie Keneally. There's a Dale Romans trainee right there. So this is done every morning between 5:30 and 10, folks, regardless of weather conditions. There's 2 different times they take a break to rework the racetrack. They did one right about 6:45. They'll do another one at 8:30. But the horses have until 10 to do their practice. I haven't seen him out here yet this morning. We do have a Japanese horse, 2 of them in the race this year. One is already here. His name is Admire Daytona. I believe Luxor Cafe, who's the son of Triple Crown winner American Promise. He's due to arrive later on this afternoon, I believe. And here's Journalism coming by us right here, folks. Journalism trained by Mike McCarthy, and he will be the favorite for this year's Derby. Once again, post position draw will be Saturday night, which is opening night at Churchill Downs. Saturday night's opening night of our spring season. And it will be night racing. And I believe typically first post is 6 on night racing. I believe we're starting at, I think first post is 5 o'clock on Saturday night. So that'll kick off our spring season, folks. We'll race Saturday, and then we'll be dark Sunday and Monday. And then racing will pick up on 5-0 Tuesday and run through Derby Day on Saturday. All right, folks. Well, I just can't tell you. I just get goosebumps standing here every morning watching this. And hey, Pedro, good morning. This is what we live for around here, folks. It's hard for me to describe. Been coming here since I was about 4 years old, and I'd hate to think where my state and my city, but especially my neighborhood, would be without Churchill Downs and the Kentucky Derby. So I hope you have a great Derby 151. My suggestion is always have a hunch and bet a bunch. All right. Thanks, everybody.